This is the Steve Gruber Show.
It is, and we're kicking off another brand new hour here of the program. Glad you're on for the conversation. We've got a lot to talk about this hour, as always. Coming up in a few minutes, we will have a breather with Ron Rademacher. But before we get there, here are three big things you need to know this hour. Number one, words have consequences for foreign nationals, but Dana Nessel, the AG in Michigan, doesn't think so. Number two, y'all want an update on Dearborn? We'll have one today as the war over the loudspeakers and the call to prayer gets more heated. And number three, the call for violence against white Americans growing again from a college professor, a black college professor at Howard University. She says it's time to emulate vigilante mass murder. Yeah, that's what she says we need now. Howard University professor. Her name's Stacy Patton. She's a professor of journalism at the private school in Washington, D.C. In a recent blog post titled, "John Brown Didn't Ask Enslaved People How to Be a Good White Ally," she discouraged white liberals from asking how to be a better ally to minorities, encouraged them instead to start killing people. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Brown, by the way, quick history lesson. A militant slave abolitionist during the pre-Civil War Bleeding Kansas period. In 1856, he orchestrated the Potawatomi Massacre. He, along with fellow abolitionists, dragged 5 Kansas settlers, at least 3 of whom were pro-slavery, out of their homes and executed them. In October 1859, Brown led a 21-man raid on a federal armory in Harper's Ferry, probably heard of this, in Virginia. His goal was to start a slave uprising, but none joined the fight. A local militia confronted Brown and his men and fought back. 4 townspeople, including a freed slave, Hayward Shepherd, murdered in the crossfire. All right, now here's where I want you to pay attention to what this professor is saying. So when white allies ask, what can I do? Here's the answer. Be like John Brown. Ask yourself, what am I willing to burn so somebody else can breathe? Brown didn't need a syllabus, a think piece, or a guidebook on allyship. He didn't need affirmation from black folks. He saw the horror for what it was and decided that ending this racist effery, I'll just leave that out for you, mattered more than being understood. Allyship is exhausting as hell, she said. Allyship is exhausting as hell. Even the well-intentioned versions drag you back into the same cycle of having to translate pain into curriculum. It's the paradox of white goodness. They want to be seen trying, but the trying itself becomes another demand on the people that are already harmed, she wrote. We are not the architects. We are the collateral damage. You don't ask the people choking on the smoke to explain how to put out the fire, she said. You go get the damn hose. You stop pretending you don't see the flames. That's the real answer. You already know what to do. Be honest. Be honest. You just don't want to lose the warmth that fire gives you. She conceded that white allies don't have to die like Brown. If you don't want to die like John Brown, fine, but understand that somebody always does. Yeah. There you go. Time to start killing people. Over what? So Howard University put out a statement. Howard University condemns all forms of violence, particularly actions that may result in the loss of life. The university remains steadfast in its commitment to upholding and protecting the First Amendment rights of free expression. However, the views and opinions expressed by individual faculty, staff, or students are solely their own and should not be construed as reflecting the official stance of Howard University. Patton, of course, declined to comment, calling for the murder of white people, I guess. Don't be a white ally, kill them. And yet it's the MAGA people you're supposed to fear, they say. You heard me tell the story earlier about the guy that shot up a home and a rafting business in North Carolina because there was a Trump flag outside that he tore down. Then he shot the place up. An 87-year-old woman lived there. Her son was there, who runs the rafting business. And it wasn't just some hooligan. It was a 38-year-old accountant from Atlanta. Shot the place up. He's now being charged with a variety of felonies. He'll spend the next several years in prison, as he should, because he couldn't handle seeing a Trump sign on somebody else's property. He went onto private property, ripped down the Trump sign, and then shot the place up, one of those bullets lodging in the refrigerator. One of these mornings, I'm going to sit here and report to you about the murder of Trump supporters because they were Trump supporters, and for no other reason. Because they wore a red hat or had a sign in their yard, they will be murdered, and for no other reason except that they had a difference of opinion with somebody who hates Donald Trump. Don't sit there and tell me it's a both sides issue. It's not. It is not a both sides issue. It is part and parcel to the leftist hate machine, churning out vile rhetoric like this professor at Howard University. Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about goading people into being like John Brown, murdering people to get what they want because they have a difference of opinion on this or that. Meanwhile, here's your update on Dearborn. Speaking of differences of opinions, a rising chorus of complaints in Dearborn. This is from MichiganNewsSource.com, my news company. You should be there every day. MichiganNewsSource.com. You should be there every day looking at what's happening. Tremendous amount of coverage of Dearborn on that platform. Residents in East Dearborn say outdoor broadcasts of the Islamic call for prayer have grown too loud, way too loud, prompting petitions, council speeches, and a review by city officials. Police Chief Isa Shaheen says officers have taken dozens of readings and found mosques largely within legal limits. The overwhelming majority of readings are in compliance and are no louder than the ambient noise of the trucks driving by. I'm going to go find out. In addition, Council President Michael Serini said the city continues to work with mosque leaders and residents to find a solution. No faith should be imposing on someone else's property and livelihood, Serini told the Detroit Free Press, adding that officials have asked mosques to keep the volumes below 60 decibels, which is the city's residential limit. Nonetheless, a petition signed by at least 46 residents urged the city to address what they called the disruption of their quality of life and tranquility. The Islamic Institute of Knowledge on Schaefer Road, one of several mosques in East Dearborn, says it's working to ease tensions over the outdoor call to prayer. Chair Akram Bazi said that the mosque's loudspeaker operates within the city's legal noise limits, but agreed to turn it down about 5% to accommodate nearby residents. Even some Muslim leaders have called for restraint. Imam Moham Ali Alahi of the Islamic House of Wisdom in Dearborn urged other mosques to consider their neighbors' concerns, saying amplified calls to prayer that disturb residents are discouraged in Islam. In such cases, broadcasting the adhan is not considered a virtuous act. Rather, it may be deemed as sinful. Respect for neighbors and the broader community is a core principle of our faith, they say. Find out more at MichiganNewsSource.com. We'll take a break with Ron Rademacher straight ahead.